Hello and welcome for joining us for Moss Talks, where we have more conversation and more culture. I'm Joel, co-founder and creator director for Moss Magazine.
And I'm Sydney, co-founder and editorial director for Moss Magazine.
So today, we're going to talk about digital art. Like a lot of times we are scrolling through social media, we see these graphics people make, these posts people make, these using Instagram features, using Adobe features. Do you think that since we have digital art, it's becoming too easy to replicate what we've seen in physical media?
When it comes to digital art, because it's so accessible and everyone can see it and access it, I think people think it's easy to recreate when really it's not.
I
If
say,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
So,
I it's easy for there to be gray areas now when it comes to being a specialist at certain things because now you like we talked about this way even before where it's like you have creative directors, you have these creators, have these designers, these people that put themselves in categories that they're technically not in, let's say.
mhm.
Which so with all of that, like I said, there are gray areas like where it's like people are claim themselves as creators or like creative directors or designers when they have the least amount of experience. And not saying they don't have rights to call themselves that at some point, but it's just that it's so much overlapping with all these things now.
Like when someone has a unique style, it's even more special, if that makes sense. Because again, a lot of people copy each other. Sometimes it's a good copy, most of the time it's a bad copy. So when you can create something that truly stands out and unique, I think that is a big accomplishment, a big gift.
I'll say, oh,
And
I'm sorry.
not to toot our own horn, but we are fortunate and lucky enough to have an aesthetic, have designs and graphics that really do stand out. Um, and I don't think a lot of people have that because when we do talk to people or we do have interviews, a lot of them do, point out and compliment our look, our style, our aesthetic.
That's it's really humbling too because when people compliment us, like when I put these designs together and people compliment them, it's really humbling because like I remember what I used to make and seeing them talk about it in such a high fashion or high speaking highly of it, it really just it brings me down to earth. Kind of like I remember where I was when I was starting out, where I was making terrible logos, when I was sending products to people that were requesting my services that were like I would never send to anybody in the world ever again. Like even when I look at my past work or stuff that I made for people, I'd be like, I'm
Well,
I'm I'm
that's all part of growth and learning as you
uh,
go. And then again, like finding your own style as you develop as an artist.
I'll say yeah, but that also adds to the part of the conversation we had earlier with like I said, people call themselves creators, designers. Like when I started, I didn't want to call myself a designer. And like I think a good rule of thumb when it ever comes to like creating or copying or learning even because we're all in some way copying someone else, copying something that has been set in place before. And so Virgil has this rule called the rule of the third. You probably know this from film, but Virgil applies it to design, whereas you take something and you add your 33% to it. It's like you're not necessarily copying, but you're making it great. But today we have a good conversation with Rachel about digital art. So hopefully y'all enjoy it, and we'll see y'all when we talk to Rachel. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into Moss Talks. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Rachel Thigpen, a sensational digital artist. We're diving into her unique style and inspirations. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us today.
Thank y'all for having me.
So I want to start with our first question. Can you give us a backstory or your introduction to art?
Yeah, I've been drawing since probably before I started school. It just was something that I've always done, kind of like a hobby. We had a lot of like Disney cassette tapes, and so I used to love drawing the covers of them and just kind of using it as an escape, nothing too serious. And my grandmother, she used to collect, I guess what you would call like my first portfolio, just had like this collection of drawings. And we have this fine art school here in Birmingham. And she was like, I think you should go there. And I was like, no, I'm kind of interested in just being like a student. I didn't fully understand like what I had and what she was trying to get me to do at the time. So it really was just a hobby, something that I just deferred to when times got hard, or just something that uplift me, and never anything beyond that, to be honest. And so it wasn't until my late 20s when I was like burned out at my job and just kind of retracing my steps. I too have a background in film, and just kind of like that multi hyphenate, like I can do this, I can do that. And I was just like, all right, Lord, I have all of these gifts. Like which one do you want me to do? And like the art just kind of came back up. And so I was like, because I had such a horrible view of like money and vocation, I've always wanted to protect art. Like this shouldn't be something that I should pursue because then it'll get icky, right? But that was just a lot of just ignorance on my part. And I was like, well, if I commit like to drawing every day for a week, whenever this span of time was, then I mean that means that I can really commit to it. And then I did, and it's like that was like maybe 6 years ago, and it's just I just never stopped drawing since.
So you said like you started in school. Did you ever were you the type of kid where you were like while the teacher's teaching, are you doodling your notebook or are you thinking about what you want to draw when you go home?
Kind of in my notebook. I really wasn't known as the artsy kid, which is funny. Like I like the social part of school. Like if you knew I could draw if you were close to me, like that's just something that I hid, like kind of
Right.
like so no, I really was not that kid, like at all.
That's it. That's fair.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it was kind of like your superpower in a way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell us about Strawberry Duck. What was the thought process behind starting it, and where does the name come from?
So I moved back home around 2019, and just it was just a rough time for me, honestly. Like in and out of different like jobs, and I was like, this is not what I planned for my life. And I was really just coming back home to just kind of like take a breather and then like plan my next move. And 2020 came, and I got a job working for this government agency. Like we're gonna be working in a call center. So during this was after probably let me say that was like February. So this was like maybe 5 months of being like up and down with employment or whatever. So we were in orientation, and I was falling asleep. A lot of information was kind of boring, but I had my pad there and I was doodling. And I just remember drawing like a duck. I was just drawing things. And I started drawing strawberries. And then I just put the strawberry in the duck's mouth or whatever. And I'm just, it's just really just free form, just free fall. And I just wrote the name Strawberry Ducks. I was like, that kind of has a little ring to it. And I just, yeah, it just stuck with me. And then I was like, well, now I have some like consistent income coming, so I can kind of breathe a little bit and I can kind of focus on the art, and maybe I can just house it under this name. And that's that's really how it started, just bored doodling and just trying to find a space for this like quirky art that I was creating. So
Hmm. No, I
I see
love
that.
that. I love like the evolution of it, and then
Mhm.
like you said, it is quirky and it works. And I feel like
Yeah.
that truly describes like your art too. Like
mhm.
it's just perfect. It really just came to you.
Thank you.
And plus, like thinking of like when I heard Strawberry Ducks, like looking at your submission and like your tags, I was like, is this like it's gonna be like animation or like drawing? Like my mom instantly went to art, and like I think the name really speaks really well with what you have already. So
Mhm.
like that was really good. Like it really resonated with me on that point.
Thank you.
But so obviously you're an artist. So how would you describe your current art style?
I want to say surrealism, but it's kind of morphing into, I guess, more like pop art or cartoon style. It's kind of evolving. I'm just at a point now where I'm not really interested in how do I categorize it. More so, I wanted to have like a consistent like color palette and evoke. I want the feeling to be consistent. Like I don't really know what this is, but I like it. So I'm really playing around with in terms of like style, because I'm not that strong right now in like realism, and things, but it's like I also don't want it to be that. So
Yeah.
I guess in a way, maybe neo surrealism, pop art, something along those lines.
I say, and this is just my opinion, but also like when styling, well, not really styling, when starting art, like I think it's very important to let it to kind of like just be itself. Like I
Yeah.
know, like like you say, you have surrealism and you don't want it to be realism. So I think even though you may have a category for it, I think it's really important just to let it be itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good advice.
And I love
Yeah.
like that you're
But
focusing on color. I think
yeah.
that stands out because when looking at your art, I definitely see like your color palette. It
Mm-hmm.
comes through, especially when it's all like side by side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun way to think about it. Hmm.
Yeah. And to add to that point, like labeling art really takes the fun out of it.
It
Like
does.
putting a label on anything really kind of like makes it too serious. Not saying that it shouldn't be serious in some aspect, but when it comes down to the artist saying that this is what it is, it makes you kind of just sit down and be like, arms folded, it's this. That's what it is.
That was kind of like what held me back for like a number of years, just trying to figure out what this was because I needed to be able to package it in a certain way to people. And it's really these past like 6 months, I'm like, look, this is what it is. Like it may look
Yeah.
like a cartoon. It doesn't, it may not be tied to things because I realized too, like when you're because my work is like heavy character based, I tried the route of like, let me create a character so everybody can get familiar with. But it's like I got bored with that quickly. Like I don't want to draw the same thing over and over again. And so yeah, just being free to say, I woke up today and this is what I wanted to draw. Hope you enjoy it. Like, and then that's just it. So that's really freed me, honestly.
As an artist, do you ever people approach you and ask you about your art, but they label it in the question, like they're like, "Oh, I saw you. You're the person that makes surrealism art. Like, how did you do that? Like, do you ever have people automatically categorizing your stuff before you even say it's this?"
Yeah, I did have someone they DM me. They were like, I don't really like surrealism, but I like your art.
Hmm.
So I took it as a compliment.
Hmm.
But it's interesting because it's like if for them as a viewer, that's how they contextualize it. That's I think that's comforting for people when you don't quite know what something is. It's like I have to attach it to something that way I can
Yeah.
just feel okay about it for whatever reason. So I've had that, but mostly it's unique. They're more descriptive words than just art style.
And this is another thing. I'm sorry. I'm a yapper. I'm sorry. But whenever you give your art out to the world, like we all know this, whenever you give your art out to the world, it no longer becomes your thing. Like it's your
Right.
thing. You made it. Like we're all proud of you for making it. But then when someone else sees it, when 10 people see it, when 1,000 people see it, it's for them now. It's
Mm-hmm.
no longer just our thing. And I say that kind of ruins the artist experience, but
Mm-hmm.
also it goes on both sides. It kind of influences the experience and kind of ruins it because it ruins it because sometimes like you may get mislabeled, and there are other times where it's great because you have people who see it and are appreciative of what you're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I found is I don't really even know how to explain this. I think sometimes my art is moving ahead of me. Like I don't want to be one of those people that feels like, oh, I'm prophetic or but there have been
Hmm.
times where I've drawn things and then like maybe a year later it makes sense like out in the world. And so I feel I forgot where I heard this from, but I view myself more as like a vessel. And it's like, well, maybe this just needed to get out some way.
Hmm.
And so when it comes to like people perceiving that and it's taking on a life of its own, it's like, well, maybe this concept didn't originally belong to me. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I really need to get some things out. But I've noticed, like, say if I'm just freestyling, which is what I often do, I'm looking at things and I'm like, oh, this is how I'm really feeling. Like, why weren't I able to why weren't I able to verbalize this? And maybe somebody else can connect to it. So I see it as more as like a spiritual thing. So yeah.
I'm sorry, I got another point to add on to that because I'm a firm believer whenever you have an idea, if you don't execute it, it's given to someone else. And
Yes,
so
yes, for sure.
because I have some photographer friends. There's one guy who's very talented from Atlanta named Cam. Shout out to Cam. He recently
Mm-hmm.
shot like a running theme, and like I sent him the screenshots of what I had and everything. I was like, I had this idea 3 months ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I said I wasn't going to do it anymore, and then like he did it the, last month, and I was like, ooh, I was like, he did such a good job because I'm like, I should have stuck with it. I should have done my
Hmm.
idea. And the funny thing is, the same person I wanted for the shoot, he got for the shoot. So I was like,
Oh.
that's crazy.
Oh man,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's a lesson.
Yeah. A big lesson.
As a self-taught illustrator, what were the biggest setbacks you faced and how did you overcome them?
I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of that right now, and it's finding spaces for the work um, outside of just strawberry ducks. I think it is easy when you're like self-publishing things because it's just you, but I'm having a hard time right now, like it finding its way in its in a more commercial spaces
Mhm.
and trying to figure out where like should I niche down, should I just stay committed to it. While it is for me, I do realize that once you start getting into the more mainstream spaces, it does have to, like, why should this magazine or why should this brand feature you, or why should y'all collab, so I'm in that right now, so
Mhm.
check back. But yeah, I'm navigating just like how do I service people, how I
Mhm.
service the art without like doing like personal commissions, because I have an artist friend. He's like, look, once you start doing commissions, everybody just commission you to draw them. Like you just,
Yeah.
and I just I'm not interested in that. So yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to move in more commercial spaces while also being integral with my art.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I mean, I just feel like when I first saw your art and you submitted to us, and I went to your portfolio, I went to your Instagram, like I think Joel and I had the same reaction. You were instantly just like, yes, like no
Yeah.
questions asked, like because
Mhm.
your style is just it's so distinct. It's like I love color, I love maximalism, so like that really stuck with me
Mhm.
too. Um, and I don't know, like it just like I saw it and it's just something I would look at forever because there is just so much to take in. And I mean, I feel like that's something that we are missing. Everything is very like minimal and like
Yeah,
gray
yeah.
and marble and white and whatever, but like I feel like there is space for you. Um,
Thank you.
so I'm happy to see, where you go from here on out, honestly, because I think like I just think you belong in the mainstream.
Yeah. And
Thank
I'll
you.
add on that. I strongly agree because like we've seen a lot of art. Like we probably haven't seen all the art out there, but we've seen a lot of art like through like reaching out to people sending to us. And like when we like seeing your art, like we from what we've seen, it's not like anything we've seen, which is great because
Mhm.
like whenever we see something like that or your art, we know it's you. Like it's not it's like I said, it's not like anything we've seen. So like Cindy said, you belong in mainstream media.
I appreciate that feedback, y'all. Thank
Of course.
you.
So for the pieces, choices, A Letter to Hypocrites, or Mother and Daughter in Mourning, do personal
Mhm.
experiences ever influence your art?
Yes. Think about choices. Yeah, it's kind of going back what I was saying earlier. I just started noticing themes when I was drawing. So I don't really necessarily go in with like letters to hypocrites. That's something that I do. I like that was specific, like that was tied to a scripture. So that was um pretty on the head with that. But with like choices, I started noticing like there's always like this like dualism in my art, and maybe I just need to double down with that. And so that particular piece, I was trying to switch my style up a little bit because it doesn't have like the black outlines and things. And so I think that was kind of me just trying to figure out like, okay, do I explore this space, and will this space be lucrative for me and things like that. And Mother and Daughter in Mourning, um, I named that after I did the piece. When I started looking at it, I was like, this reminds me of a mother and daughter that I know right now who are, it's like they're kind of coming out of the same vessel, flowing
Mhm.
out of the same space. So yeah, I think the pieces named themselves afterward, but I didn't go in with that agenda though.
Mhm.
Okay. But also is there a story behind the Orange Turtleneck Society?
I love drawing orange turtlenecks. Like I love it. And I thought about one time I considered like a book series. I don't write or anything like that, but I'm just like I feel like this this could be fun. Like, I'm like a fan of Wes Anderson, so I kind of like his like storytelling style. And so I was like, I was thinking about what if I do an orange turtleneck society, and I draw a lot of red balloons. So I also thought about the red balloon society. So it's kind of like all around that space. And then when I started drawing them, they were looking too like regular people. So I'm like, they need more eyeballs. They need more pupils. It needs to feel weird. So it was just piggybacking off of just the concept that I had been thinking about for a while.
I'll say, you can always make an illustration book. I'm always here for
Yes,
picture book.
we will buy.
Yeah.
Really? Is that a thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll say
Hmm.
the same way you think about comics. People make books of just illustrations, just everything they've ever made. Like photographers,
Mm,
they make picture books of just pictures. So yeah.
okay. I can see that.
Definitely do
Thank you.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, also like I love kind of like how when you are creating your pieces, it just seems like your hand just leads you, you know, and like you said,
Hmm.
the name of it or the theme of it kind of finds you later, like once it
Hmm.
is on paper. So I just think that's also like you said, a vessel, a gift. And I just think that's super beautiful. If you could collaborate with any brand, an artist, anybody, anything, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna say Kendrick Lamar. I'm just been a
Mhm.
fan, you know what I mean? Been a fan since rigor mortis, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so
Section 80.
but
Come on.
you know what I mean? But I think he takes a lot of risks, which is why I've always just respected him just as an MC, but also just as an artist. And so I do think art has
Mhm.
found its way in hip hop in a very cool way. So I think if I had to be in that space, it'd definitely be Mr. Lamar. I don't know how, but I think we could come up with something.
I
See
see.
it.
Yeah. I love Kendrick. I love Kendrick. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I can see it too.
you
Come on, K Dot.
know
All
what I
right.
mean?
But we have a quick fire round. Basically, I ask you 5 questions, and then the first thing that comes to your head, just say that one thing, okay?
All right.
Favorite color to use?
Orange,
Early mornings or late nights?
late nights,
Go to TV show.
insecure,
Insecure. Ooh. Favorite thing to draw?
clouds.
Clouds. Favorite compliment received on your art?
I've never seen anything like this.
That's good. That's good. We need to write that down.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
I love that
but
your
so
favorite color to use is orange because that's my
mm,
favorite color. So,
Really?
that's our
Yes.
favorite color,
It's
yeah.
such a bomb color.
and I feel like
Okay.
there's not a lot of people like when I say my favorite color orange, they're like, what, really? But I just feel like it's so vibrant, and you don't meet a
It
lot of
really
people
is.
who like enjoys orange. So I see you
Hmm.
and I appreciate it. Hmm.
Yes, yes.
I think most people also like now that they're like let's say 21 and over, they base most of their color picking off of the clothes they wear. Like half when I ask
Mm,
people what their favorite color is, half the time it's black. Sometimes I got a weird one that said white. Half the time it's like yellow. It really like I look at them, I was like, oh, you're wearing that color right now. I got you. I
hmm.
understand now. Also, your second question, you said late nights. Is that just because of art or just like it's just something that you enjoy?
It's like I get this weird burst of energy, like 10 o'clock. I don't know. And there's something it's something so quiet about the night. Obviously, everything's kind of winding down. So I love that solitude that the night brings. I wish I was more of a morning person. I'm trying to, but it's burning the midnight oil for me. So
Very relatable.
I s- I
Oh,
wish I had that energy. Late nights, I'm going to sleep.
really, that's what's
Yeah.
up. No, I'm with Sydney. Like it's got to be late.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Going to your favorite go-to show, Insecure. It's funny because I like when I was on your website. Oh, wait, I'm pressing too many buttons. When I was on your website, at the end of it, you like said like you'll like do like stand up in the mirror, and I instantly thought about Insecure.
Really,
So I just think that's really funny. Like, is that in relation to like, is that kind of like what
I
you're
didn't even think
picturing
about that.
there?
No, I had when I heard that Insecure was coming out, I went back and watched Awkward Black Girl. I had heard about it, didn't see it. But when I saw her rapping in the mirror, I was like, like I felt seen. I didn't think anybody was crazy like that. So I just thought it was so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's definitely I've watched Insecure over so many times. It's ridiculous.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous. It's such a
Yeah,
unique show.
definitely. And just a comfort show, honestly. And I feel
Yeah.
like each season marks like a different chapter in all of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
especially like in that
Mm-hmm.
age of like mid 20s, early 30s, just, figuring it out. So,
Yes. Yes. For sure.
But going back to your last question, the favorite compliment, that needs to be written down somewhere.
hmm,
Like
frame
Yeah.
I would
that.
that would be my mantra. Like literally, I'm a dry erase right there on my mirror right now. I never
Okay.
like
Okay.
whenever I wake up, I ain't seen nothing like this.
I was reading something and it's like artists still like harbor like that. You know how children will draw something and they want to show their parents. I feel like most artists still carry that. Like I just like people to see it. Like, hey, look, do y'all like it? Do not living for that, but the giving part of it and seeing people's expression like that's a part of it for me. So kind of childlike in that way.
Yeah. Mm. I say yeah, it's important to nurse that inner child.
For sure.
What about check out Rachel on all her platforms? Please do like, comment, and share. Thank you for joining Moss Talks. This has been a great discussion. Well, that was a good conversation with Rachel.
Yes, lovely.
Really,
Honestly.
really enjoyed her art. Yeah,
Yes.
like
Like,
10, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5. 5 stars.
no, seriously, guys, like,
Yeah.
please go look at her work. It truly does stand out. I don't know, like it's something I want to frame in my house. Like it's
Yeah.
just beautiful. And if she ever does explore creating a full book, I'm buying 10
Mm.
copies. Like, not even kidding.
Yeah. She definitely needs to make a book. It's one of like I definitely want to see her work in galleries too. Either in galleries or at least like it needs to be one of those things, you go to your grandma's house and you see that thing, you don't know where it came from. But
Mm-hmm.
it's that random picture that you always see and you always love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to see. That's
Or
what I want.
even like I could totally see her like working with Nike or something.
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean? Like just like a fun brand in that way.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, it's just really bold. It really pops. Like it's just lovely work, beautiful work. I was just gonna say, like, I also loved how she mentioned that she like sees herself as a vessel,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
like I said, like I feel like that's really rare.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a gift. And just the way she was describing her process, like, it's real. Like she just kind of lets her hand guide her and whatever comes out is what comes out and however she resonates with it. That's how
Yeah.
she does.
I'll say if I had any goals for like
Mm,
beginning of the year, I would definitely try my best to get her in the gallery in
mm,
some form. Like if I really could, like definitely like I think that's really her. Like in my personal opinion, I think that's the next step because she already has great art. It's just we need more people to see it,
hmm.
which is like in a magazine, physical media,
Yeah.
galleries.
Working with
But
Kendrick,
yeah, Kendrick.
maybe
Mm,
possible animation.
yeah. Mm. We'll see if she wants to explore that route. But yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. But I think also it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. It really refreshes, or it is refreshing to see her art itself because like as much as we love physical media, like she's gonna be in a magazine. Um, her art is already good, like even great, even as it is in its digital form, and like putting it in physical would I don't even know, like I don't know how to go above great. Let's say immaculate.
Wallace.
But this was a great conversation we had with Rachel. Again, check out her art, like, comment, share the podcast. Feel free to reach out to us. And yeah, I really hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining Moss Talks with me and Sydney.